What's up, guys? What's going on? Welcome to another looking back video. This time I'm going to be talking about Away Journey to the Unexpected, and man, boy was that game a letdown. It was really a letdown on multiple fronts, and I have a list of pros and cons. We're going to go through all of them, but honestly, super disappointing. Before we get started, I really want to get to read the description of the game on Steam, just to give you an idea of what the game is supposed to be about. There's some gameplay, as always, behind me right now, as you guys can see. So it says, in a mood for a journey to a colorful world full of unexpected events and crazy characters, jump into a feel-good adventure with roguelite elements where action meets cuteness and powers come with friendship. A love letter to anime and quirkiness from two indie devs. Now, it's hard to fault that game on some of the things that I'm going to fault it on without, keeping in mind that obviously it was made by two people. So, there's a lot to say about that. They made a great job for the number of people they were. However, some of the things I'd be remiss if it'd be bad for me not to mention. I really want you guys to know my honest opinion on all the different systems the game has and all that stuff, and then you guys can make your own opinion on that and decide what if you want to buy the game or not. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm gonna start with the pros. There's quite a few pros, but not that many. Honestly, it's one of those games that unfortunately the list of pros is very short, and the list of cons is pretty big. So it has cool graphics, as you guys can see right now in the video behind me. The graphics are kind of neat. Like they remind me a lot of like a mix between like Borderlands and maybe I don't know, man, like a first person like Zelda game almost, with or like a cartoony Skyrim, but like with graphics that are like really reminiscent of like a Borderlands title. So that's kind of neat. I really enjoyed it. It has very nice little pocket-sized dungeons. Right now, as you guys can see, I'm in one at the moment during one of my playthroughs video, and they're really interesting. To have like a little bit of platforming elements sometimes a little bit of puzzle solving. But and yeah, this one I'm in right now in the video is a lot longer. This is like an end of world dungeon. I'm gonna get to it soon-ish. But so the way the game works is you start the game off. You're looking at your parents are missing. They've been on a mission and they haven't come back. Apparently they're super secret agent or something, and you don't know exactly what they do, but they're just missing. And then so you wake up and then you realize that like there's a hole, like a tunnel as opened like in your basement, and you go there, and then your dog gives you like this stick that I'm using as a weapon. And sadly, until you reach the very end of the game, and even then I'm not even sure if the stick changes, this is all you get. This is literally the only weapon you're gonna get is the stick. But I'm gonna get back to that soon. So essentially what you have to do now is you have to go into these different like worlds, almost like a Mario game, like Mario 64, for example. So every time you create a friendship or a bond with a different character in the game, usually it's in the form of talking to them and getting a friendship cube, which is an item you can collect in the game, and then that allows you to have different dialogue options that you would normally not have if you just talk to that NPC, and then that NPC will join you if you answer correctly in the dialogue tree that allows you to end up recruiting that person. So once you have recruited the person, that character gives you 1 star. If you die, this is a roguelite game, right? So if you die, you have to restart over the entirety of the game. However, you do keep some elements. So for example, every time you die, every monster you killed and stuff gave you XP. So on the end screen, before you can restart the game again, there's like a few power-ups you unlock automatically if you have enough XP accumulated to be able to get them. You also need the sort of like triangle-y, sparkly bits that like are scattered around the world. These are used to buy items, so you can buy more friendship cubes and more stuff like that to be able to recruit number of people you need to a maximum of 3 more recruits plus yourself. That's 4 characters in your party, and that's basically it. So every time you go into a world, you get stars by recruiting people. Depending on the number of stars you have, that allows you to go into like the second world and then the third world and so on and so forth, because they unlock as you progress. So essentially it's really weird. Like, you get into your house and there's like so many doors and you can't open any of them because they're all locked behind a certain number of stars. And at first I thought, oh, this is going to be cool. There's going to be like a you know, like a tunnel from one of those doors or something that's going to lead into another location and then a new world or something interesting will happen if I open these doors. No. If you open these doors, you only get like side characters and some like funny bits, and that's basically what you're gonna get. There's nothing super interesting once you open these doors. It's really, really boring, in fact. And you also get you know, there's like 2 worlds essentially. So you get the first world, which is like a foresty kind of Greenland kind of world. Then you get that one is open right away. Then you can open the second world if you have enough stars to be able to get into it. I think it's like 3 stars. If you have 3 stars, you can open it. With 3 stars, you get to be able to open that world, and that will lead you to like a deserty type of world with, again, different characters that you can recruit there. And then there's a third world that you can open once you have 6 stars, and that one is I don't know exactly what it is, because I didn't actually complete the game 100%, because honestly I got bored, but also you know, it's just I ran out of time in my stream. But honestly, like, it's I could technically just like reinstall it and play for like an extra hour, and I would finish the game. Like, it's that short. And I would finish that world, and I would finish the last boss and everything else. There is a 4th world. That world, you get access automatically once you complete either world 1, 2, or 6. It automatically leads you into the next world, which is going to be the 4th world, which is like a snowy kind of world, and that leads you into every world that you complete. Essentially, you get in, you have like a bunch of switch you need to flip to open a door that leads to the dungeon of that world. So you get like in world 1 and 2, you have pocket-sized dungeons, which are like super short, like maybe 1 room, maybe 2, and that has like a lever at the end that you need to flip, and sometimes it's like a jumping puzzle, sometimes it's just like killing monsters, you know. And then once you flip those 3 switches in 3 pocket dungeons across the map, that opens the big door that leads to the big dungeon for that world. And the big dungeon is just like a collection of rooms with, it's a longer dungeon. It's probably like a you know, it's not that long. It's like slightly longer than it would normally be if it was like a pocket-sized dungeon. Maybe like it's like it's like the length of like 3 pocket-sized dungeon, like, you know, back to back to back. And then once you've completed that dungeon, that leads you into a corridor that leads you to the 4th world that I talked about, which is like snowy. And then once you're in that world, it's again switches, but it's no longer pocket size. Now the switches are scattered across the world, and you just need to, like, you know, figure them out where they are and just like flip them. And once you flip them, that opens the door to the last dungeon, and then you get to the last boss and of that dungeon, and that leads you to an elevator. And if you have enough stars, then you get to open the door to the very last boss, and you beat him, and then that's basically it. So essentially, if you were to do like one playthrough, right, just one playthrough, you wouldn't be able to kill the last boss, the very last boss, the one at the top of the elevator. You can't, because you need 8 stars to open the door, and if you only complete one world perfectly and recruit all characters there perfectly, which is almost impossible to do because you will lack friendship cubes, you'll maybe, like, at the end of like a normal playthrough, you probably will have like 2 stars in the first world, maybe 1 in the second world, which is like I say the second, but technically it's the 4th, because it's the snowy one. And then that would probably lead you with like 3 stars at the end of your first playthrough. Then you kill the boss that is in front of the elevator. Then you get up to the elevator, and then the game tells you, you don't have enough stars. You have to go back. So then you start again, and then this time you are probably going to be able to get at least the last star you missed in the first world, maybe 2 stars in the second world, and then when you get to the snowy world, you're probably going to get like the last star you missed there. So you're probably going to end up with like about 5 stars, maybe 6 tops, but probably more akin to 5. Now, and this is great. Now you have 5 stars. You beat the last boss, but yet again, don't have enough stars. You have to start again. But the thing is, like, by that point, you're probably going to be able to get like your last star to be able to get 6 stars total. At which point you'll be able to open up the world that I haven't opened up yet, which is just another one of those worlds that has 3 switches and the last dungeon bit. Then that one will give you the 2 stars you're missing. Then you'll get back to the main boss. You'll kill him. Then you'll get back. Then you go up the elevator, and then you'll be able to open the last door, and then it'll kill him. So essentially, the game is a lot of padding. It's a lot of like threading, redoing the same content over and over and over and over again, and kind of, you know, hoping for the best that you're not gonna die, because if you die, you have to restart again. At least you keep your XP, but it's basically it. I've been a little over the place there. My apologies. I'm kind of putting my ideas in my mind at the same time, and I'm trying to retread the game as I'm watching it, because I'm seeing myself right now playing it, but also as I explain it to you guys. So again, pros: cool graphic, nice little pocket-sized dungeons. They're kind of cool. They're very simplistic, but kind of cool, and they're randomized. So so you get into a dungeon, and even though if you die, you go back into the same world, and you go back into the same pocket-sized dungeon, they're not going to be the same layout because it's randomized. They have like a pool, and they pull from that pool every time you trigger a new pocket-sized dungeon, and you'll get something. And then the intro cinematic and the intro song are fantastic. Like, I honestly, on my stream, I watched those like over and over and over again, because it was so really freaking good. It was really good. So I was like, wow, like as I started the game, I watched the video, I was like, wow, this is gonna be great. It's gonna be such a cool game. And then you get into the game, and then there's nothing as good as the intro. It's even like a selling point on Steam, the intro song and video. Look at this. It says, an anime-themed soundtrack composed by Kazuhiko Naruse and sung by Aya Majiro. Now, this is weird, okay? Because the soundtrack is in fact in my cons. The soundtrack is very, very forgettable. Most games, and most of the game, and again, it's not because the soundtrack is necessarily bad, but it's just because it's absent. Most of the game I played, the soundtrack was nowhere to be found. It was completely silent. I couldn't understand what was going on there. Like, I honestly couldn't. Like you barely have any sound anywhere. Most of the time it's just silent, and just like you walking around and smacking things. And it was forgettable. Like, no song, no part of the game like jumped back into my mind as a like a must, you know, listen to, or you know, I would never like pick up the soundtrack and just listen to it again. Like, it's really forgettable. But they're right in the sense to put that as a selling point, because the main, you know, the first first, you know, intro song and the cinematic and stuff is really great. So that one song is a selling point for the game, because it's super amazing. However, you don't get anything close to being as good in the rest of the game, which is very, very unfortunate. And then other cons, so that's a con. The soundtrack is forgettable. That is definitely a con. I'm basically done with the pros, by the way. Cool graphics, pocket-sized dungeon, intro cinematic, and intro song. That is basically all the pros of the game. That's it. Everything else is a con. So you know, the gameplay itself is kind of just, it's okay. Like, it does the job, but it's nothing, you know, incredibly good. I forgot to mention something. So every time you recruit a character in your party, you basically get to switch to that character. So you don't. It's not like you trigger a combat situation and then your friends are following you around and they're fighting and stuff. You turn into that character that you recruited to use a couple skills. So throw fireballs, you know, make some swarm of monster appear, well, like mini bombs appear in front of you. There's like every single one of them has a different gimmick and a different like view style. So for example, like you guys probably saw behind me, but at some point, like you see like the wind, like the view is like kind of like cracky and stuff. That's because one of the characters that I'm at is wearing glasses, and those glasses are cracked. So that's when I switch that character, then my vision turns to that character's, and then my weapons change as well to that specific character. Now, those characters are really, really strong. They're stronger than you are, but you can only use them up until the energy is depleted. Once the energy is depleted, they're completely gone. That is it. There's no more. So that's it. You're screwed. Then there's like the situation where like you know, like you use all your characters, right? Because you're trying to complete whatever you're doing and trying to complete your playthrough and stuff. So you'll sometimes have to use those characters. Then you use them, and then you get to the last boss, and now you don't have any characters anymore, and you only have your own, like the main hero. And the main hero sucks. You do potato damage. You hit like 1 HP, maybe 2 if you get super stupid lucky, but usually it's 1. And until you unlock the shield, you only have your weapon. That's it. So you can't even avoid enemy attacks except of moving out of the way. You only have 3 hearts when you begin the game, and you can unlock a 4th and a 5th one as you progress into the levels. So as you fail the game or complete it without being able to kill the last boss, it restarts you, and then you got like a few more levels, so you got like a few more abilities, which means that you unlock the shield, you unlock like a power attack, which does, again, potato damage, and you unlock a few other things, like I said, like a few more hearts, and that is basically it. I think one of them is I unlocked like a friendship cube, like right off the bat. So every time I started the mission, I got into a world, I had a friendship cube right away on me before picking up the one for that world, which meant that I could already recruit 2 characters right away instead of having to wait to recruit more. You can also buy, like I said, more friendship cubes if you have enough coins, and by coins I mean those triangle shape that I pick up on the floor that you guys probably see behind me. So yeah, every time you switch to a character, the character has a few attacks, and then it's gone forever until you redo the game again. And it's very easy to figure out which one is really, really a good character and which one is utterly pointless. So if you just like play like 2 worlds, and then you know right away, like, okay, this attack is bullshit, that attack is so freaking strong, there's no way I'm not picking it up. So then your other playthroughs just become like, run over there, talk to that guy. You already know the dialogue tree to unlock that character, so you just like go there, you unlock it, and if you already unlocked it once, then you just have to talk to him once. You talk to him once, he appears in your party. So you just like, as long as you have a friendship cube, just go around, you pick up the characters that you know are overpowered, and all the other ones are useless, so you don't even pick them up. You just go straight to what you need to do, and then you do it. And that's a shame, because that's a selling point. You're like, oh, meet 8 quirky characters to form up your group, but realistically, you only need like 3 of the 8, and even then, they're not all. It's not even like a situation where, oh shit, like I would have to do this dungeon, but in that dungeon I need that specific character, so I might recruit him and then abandon him later and get another one instead. You can't do that. If you have a character, that's basically it, unless you buy another friendship cube. So you can't like let him go and then be able to get another character afterwards to complete another dungeon. Also, none of the characters are needed to do anything. Like you can literally do the entire game without even picking a single of those side characters, and you could still technically do it. I did it. It's super boring and annoying. And once you figured out like which one are OP, then you just pick those up. You don't care about the other ones. So effectively, there's only 3 characters. That's it. Because even if you have 8, they're not useful. There's only like 3 that are technically useful and OP. So you just pick those and you're golden. A lot of the game is padding. Like I said, like the game is like seems a lot longer. Like it achieves the 3 to 5 hours length by cheating you out of actual gameplay because you keep dying and you just keep repeating the exact same content you've done. And you know, I talked earlier about the fact that some of the dungeons were, well, the pocket-sized dungeon are randomized. They are, but the pool is so tiny that you will end up replaying all of them all the time. Like there's maybe like, I don't know, 6 variations. So you die a couple times, you've seen them all. Like it's really that easy. The very last dungeon doesn't change. The layout is exactly the same. You might have like 1 or 2 different bosses in the end world dungeons, but again, there's like a pool of like 2 different end dungeons boss. So you get one or you get the other. It's basically that. There's no like super great amount of bosses and different tactics and stuff. It's very, very, very limited. So the game makes you feel like it's this massive game that has super, you know, lots of contents and stuff. And in the end, it's got nothing. It's empty. It's a shell. It's to the point where like you're like even fighting the monsters is pointless. Honestly, like the very last time I tried doing the game, like the very last like playthrough I did of like getting all the world and getting to the end, I didn't even kill a single monster. I just ran to the end, flipped the switch in every pocket-sized dungeon, get to the very end of whatever end world dungeon I needed to go to, beat that boss super easily, and then go to the icy world, run, avoid all enemies that you see me fighting right now. I was able to avoid all of them, including the big robots, flip the switches, go back to the main, the big castle thingy, figure out where the key is for the boss key essentially, then go to the boss and just then start wailing on the boss. So like essentially I killed like 2 monsters. The boss at the end of world dungeon for the first world you do, and then the boss that was in front of the elevator for the icy world, and that was it. I did 2 fights in that last playthrough, and it was super easy. It wasn't even hard. Like I didn't even try that hard to just flip the switches and like try to escape and all that stuff. It was stupid easy to avoid every single monster, flip the switch and just run away. Like I barely took damage, if I took damage at all. Like it was stupid easy. The game is really incredibly easy, except when you're fighting a boss, in which case the game just becomes dumb. Bosses have incredible amount of HP, like tons. The last boss in front of the elevator is 90. You hit for 1 every time you hit him with your stick. 1. That is it. Maybe 2 if you get lucky. So great. So now you have to wail on that boss for like freaking 30 minutes to kill him if you don't have any friends with you, or if you have the friends with you, then you can just bombard him with shit ton of damage at the start of the fight, which then brings him probably down to like 20 HP, and then you have to smack him 20 times before he actually dies. And of course you have to avoid the attacks and stuff, you know, as you do. And I wouldn't recommend that, because if you do that and then you have enough stars to open the last boss that is at the top of the elevator, then you're screwed because you don't have any more friends, and then you probably have to smack a boss that has more than 90 HP. And then you will have to smack him like for 1 damage every time. There's no sense of progression in the game really. Even when I died and got my XP and got a bunch of new abilities, it barely changed anything in my playthrough. The only one that's worthwhile is getting more hearts. That's literally the only one. And other than that, like the stick that you get at the beginning of the game, that's your weapon for your main character. And that is the only weapon you'll ever get. You never get like a cooler weapon than that. You're stuck as a little guy with a stick. That is literally it. The combat is unresponsive. Sometimes I would like smack enemies and there would be like a slight lag between the moment where you see the animation in the screen and then where you see the enemy actually move back. So sometimes I would hit, and then as I was hitting again on the backswing, the game would register my first hit, so it would be weird because my stick would be like literally in front of me, not even smacking anything because it's like mid animation, and then the enemy would just like, as if like the enemy was like poking the stick and then just like moving backwards because it got hit. It's really unfortunate. The game had so much potential. What I would have done if I would have been these guys, I would have waited and I would have made like a 10-hour game at least for that price point. I'll get back to the price point soon, but yeah, it's not great. Story is super duper weak. There's basically no story. That is it. There's no story. You get like these like story notes you see in the screen right now. It says 8 out of 10. That unlocks as you play the game. Now I thought it was like 8 out of 10 for the first world when I played the first time, and I was like, okay, there's gonna be like 10 clues I have to find per world, maybe. No, 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 no. There's 10 clues for the entire story, and by clues I mean like they're really not clues. You just like one throwaway line for your characters at some point, and that's it. That's the story that you're getting, and those, you know, those 10 clues are all you get. This is 10 clues for the entire game. That's it. That is it. There's nothing else. The motivations of the enemies are barely explained. There's you learn about the big bad enemy like really towards the end. The entire time there's no like sense of urgency. There's nothing like really like you don't get like cryptic message from your parents that say like, oh my god, we're stuck somewhere, we're gonna die or something, please hurry or whatever. Like there's nothing. When you find your parents, they're just chilling, basically like stuck in a time bubble, seated at like a table almost, or like just floating above a table in like a coffee area, and that is it. They're not even like in danger of anything. They're just stuck in a time bubble. All you have to do is just like free them from the time bubble, and that is it. Like there's no sense of urgency whatsoever. The story is super duper weak. So if you're hoping for like at least a good story, you're not gonna get that here either. And yeah. So the price point for the game, $20. $20. You get 3, maybe 5 hours, depending on how sucky you are at the game. You know, or how much you want to take your time exploring the world. And when I say like a world, it's like really short. It's like about the size of, oh man, I don't know what to compare it to even. Like it's stupid small. It's like it's really small. Each world, like you see across the map the end of the world. You see of that world. You see it right there. Like it's not even like, you know, you have to climb a mountain. Maybe there's like another like valley down there and stuff. No. It's like a very small area, and that is a world technically. So it's really super duper short. For the price point, like $20 for maybe 5 hours of gameplay. Maybe that's Shino sucks at math. That's like $4 an hour. That's terrible. It's not good. It's not good at all. Like I said, like I would have, at least if the game had been freaking, you know, 5, make the game like twice as long or 3 times as long. So for the same price point, then I would have said like, okay, grab it, then it's worth it. But as it is right now, it's really not worth it. It's really unfortunate. I cannot recommend this game, unfortunately. Overall, the game to me is a letdown, a massive letdown. And yeah, like it's like I want to support smaller devs, and I do all the time on the channel. I will buy smaller indie titles, or I will, you know, do like a sponsored stream for indie titles, because I really think it's important that indie devs get to experiment and try different things. But whilst the game devs had super good ideas, it's the execution in the end that is very poorly done. I didn't touch on this, but like the enemies, even like the amount of enemies you encounter in the game is incredibly small, both in numbers and variety. There's literally no variety. Like the enemies you encounter between the grassy world and the sand world or the desert world, there's no variety in between the two. It's the same enemies. That's it. It's the exact same monsters. There's no difference that you are in one world or another. Oopsie, the video just went away for some reason. Hold on, guys. So yeah, so it's really unfortunate. Like at least if like there were like, let's say 5 different types of monsters per world, so you get like different reason to use different friends or different things, that would have been better. But even then, like it's, oh man, honestly, like I was so let down by this game, and it's unfortunate because I really wanted to like it. I really did. Like I was looking forward to playing that game. It was one of the games I was playing the most forward to playing at the start of February, and yeah, I don't want to say scam, because I mean I did get some hours of enjoyment out of this game, but it was very few hours for the price. So I would say, if you really want to try it and support the devs, maybe for the future endeavors and stuff, maybe grab it at a discount. But as it is right now, $20 is pushing it for a game of this size, really. So yeah, that was my thoughts on the way. Apologies for the super long video this time. I had a lot to say about this game, and I'll see you guys very soon in the next looking back video, and yeah, I'm going to try and release at least looking back videos for all the games that we played during the month. So that probably going to mean 3 to 4 looking back videos per week or something for a little while. So hopefully you guys enjoy these, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one, guys. Bye bye.